Why is no one talking about the San Antonio Spurs? Something very interesting is brewing in Texas. Let me explain. The San Antonio Spurs signed Chris Paul to a one-year, $11 million deal. And I'm sure I'm not alone when I say I was completely shocked. And while for whatever reason most fans don't like the CP3 and Wemby pairing, I think it's absolutely genius. And that's because I remember when an aging CP3 went to the Oklahoma City Thunder a few years back, and everyone laughed at that move, because the team wasn't the type of team that was gonna go get him his first ring. However, while that was true, the OKC Thunder benefited heavily from his time in the orange and blue. When Chris Paul joined the Thunder in the summer of 2019, many viewed it as a temporary stop for the veteran point guard. The Thunder had traded away their franchise cornerstone, Russell Westbrook, and were entering the rebuilding phase. Paul, a future Hall of Famer and one of the best point guards in NBA history, was expected to be a short-term asset, either serving as a mentor for younger players or as trade bait for more rebuilding pieces. However, what unfolded during the 2019-2020 NBA season exceeded all expectations. Chris Paul's impact on the Thunder began well before the season tipped off. From the moment he arrived, he set a tone of professionalism and commitment. Despite the uncertainty surrounding his future and the team's outlook, Paul embraced his role with enthusiasm. He approached the situation with a positive attitude, quickly earning the respect of his teammates and the organization. This mindset was crucial in transforming the Thunder from a team expected to languish at the bottom of the standings into one that would surprise the league. One of Paul's most significant contributions was his mentorship of the Thunder's younger players, particularly Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a promising point guard acquired in the trade for Paul George. He benefited immensely from Paul's presence. Paul took him under his wing, offering guidance both on and off the court. He taught SGA the nuances of the game, from reading defenses to improving his shot selection. Under Paul's mentorship, Gilgeous-Alexander's game flourished, and he became one of the league's most exciting young talents. Paul's leadership extended beyond individual mentorship. He fostered a culture of accountability and hard work within the team. Practices were intense and focused, with Paul often setting the example with his work ethic and attention to detail. He held his teammates accountable, which is something almost all young teams struggle with. And not to get too off topic here, but one recent example can be Dillon Brooks in the Houston Rockets. Before Brooks became a Rocket, they were immature. They got into heated battles with coaches and teammates on a regular basis, and their effort was horrendous, statistically being the worst defensive team in basketball. However, when Mr. Brooks came into town, the turnaround was night and day. Players like Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun were very vocal about how Dillon Brooks held them all accountable on the defensive end. Whenever Jalen Green missed a defensive assignment, Dillon Brooks would let him know about it. That's one of the biggest reasons the Rockets' defense was one of the better ones in the NBA this past season. But back to the topic at hand. On the court, Paul's basketball IQ and strategic brilliance were on full display. He orchestrated the Thunder's offense with precision, using his exceptional vision and decision-making to exploit defenses. Paul's ability to control the tempo of the game and execute in clutch situations became a defining feature of the Thunder's season. Time and time again, he delivered in critical moments. Paul's influence also transformed the Thunder's approach to the pick and roll, one of his signature plays. His mastery of the pick and roll, combined with his chemistry with the team's big men, particularly Steven Adams, made the Thunder's offense more dynamic and difficult to defend. Opposing teams struggled to contain Paul's playmaking, whether he was scoring himself or setting up his teammates for easy baskets. This offensive efficiency was a key factor in the Thunder's success. Defensively, Paul brought intensity and intelligence. Despite his smaller stature, he was a tenacious defender, using his quick hands and understanding of opponent tendencies to disrupt plays. His leadership on the defensive end was just as vital as his offensive contributions. He communicated constantly, directing teammates and ensuring everyone was in the right position. This defensive leadership helped the Thunder become a tough unit on both ends of the floor. But Paul's impact on the Thunder was perhaps most evident in their unexpected playoff run. The team finished the regular season with a 44-28 record, far exceeding expectations and securing the 5th seed in the Western Conference. In the first round of the playoffs, they faced the Houston Rockets, the team that had traded Paul away. The series was hard-fought, with Paul leading the Thunder to a decisive Game 7. Although they ultimately fell short, CP3 changed the trajectory of a franchise. Off the court, Paul's presence in the locker room was invaluable. He was a stabilizing force, helping the team navigate the challenges of the season, including the unprecedented disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Paul's leadership extended to the broader NBA community as well. As the president of the National Basketball Players Association, NBPA, he played a crucial role in negotiating the league's return to play in the Orlando bubble. But, of course, I know what some of you are thinking. He was much younger and productive back in 2019. This is 5 years on now. And while that is correct, he can still bring incredible value to the Spurs' young core, especially Victor Wembanyama. We often give credit to guys like LeBron, Jokic, or Luka Doncic for their IQ, and rightfully so. But Chris Paul is just as intelligent. I mean, you don't get crowned the point god for no reason. And it wasn't because of his jump shot or flashy handles or defensive ability. He was crowned the point god due to his ability to control the game and pick defenses apart pretty much whenever he wanted to. His brain operated on a different frequency than everyone else. He knows the game and knows how to play the game. That's something the San Antonio Spurs struggled with all season long. Whether it was poor shot selection, not passing the ball to the right guy in the right moments, not executing plays, or blowing countless defensive assignments, it was clear they had a hard time controlling the game, playing hard and playing smart, which was mainly due to a lack of experience. But again, that's where CP3 will step in. The Spurs' golden child is Wemby, so Paul's mentorship is expected to be more towards him than anyone else. Even as a rookie, he showed some skills and mindset that was well beyond his years. That is something he and Chris will have in common. Now, no one's expecting Paul to become a top 10 guard. He's clearly regressing as an overall player. But his veteran presence, along with his ability to still run the pick and roll, will have a positive impact on the team in terms of skill and the mental side of things, similar to his impact in OKC. Stephon Castle, the Spurs' 4th overall pick, will be the perfect player to place in between them. Offensively, he's a high IQ player. He's not an elite shooter or scorer, but he's an excellent off-ball mover and cutter. With his skill set, he will be best used as a primary playmaker setting him up. But if you watched any of his games at UConn, you know he can play guard in spurts. Let's say maybe the Spurs decide they want to move forward with him as the point guard of the future. There would not be a better mentor than Chris Paul. Using Paul to shape Castle into a true point guard could be an option. We've seen San Antonio try to turn Jeremy Sochan into a guard, and although it didn't work, I wouldn't be surprised to see someone throw that experiment onto Castle, someone who I think is better suited for the position than Sochan was. Overall, I think the Spurs will be making more moves that go opposite of the typical rebuilding process. I think the Spurs are trying to be good now, and when you have a monster like Wemby, I don't blame them. Generational rookies such as LeBron James, Tim Duncan, and most recently Victor Wembanyama enter the league with a combination of physical attributes, skill, and basketball IQ that can set them apart from their peers. These players are capable of making an immediate and profound impact on the court, elevating the performance of their teammates and changing the fortunes of their franchises. This unique ability to influence games from day one means that wasting their early years on a traditional rebuild would squander the best chance to build a winning team around them. The first few seasons of a generational rookie's career are crucial for their development and integration into the NBA. These years shape their habits, their confidence, and their understanding of the professional game. Surrounding them with competent teammates in a supportive environment is essential to nurture their growth. By focusing on maximizing success each season, rather than enduring multiple losing seasons, a team can provide the rookie with the best possible conditions to flourish well into the future. This approach helps instill a winning mentality, which is vital for both the player and the organization. Skipping the typical rebuilding process to maximize immediate success also signals a commitment to winning, and that resonates throughout the franchise. Furthermore, leveraging the early years of a generational rookie's career can attract veteran players and free agents who are eager to join a team with a bright future more sooner. Established players are more likely to sign with a team that shows immediate promise rather than one mired in a prolonged rebuild. The presence of a generational talent can act as a magnet, drawing in complementary pieces that can accelerate the team's path to contention. I mean, who wouldn't want to play with Wemby? If the Spurs can somehow trade for a star this offseason and then attract some veterans to fill out the roster, then they could possibly be a playoff team. this upcoming season. All in all, no one is quite sure what the Spurs' plans are, but Chris Paul, Stephon Castle, and Victor Wembanyama are three pieces I think have an absurd amount of potential as the driving forces of this team, especially given the fact that Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan are still on the roster. But what do you think? Will Chris Paul turn things around in San Antonio? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.